I'm Kevin, and I'm one Pinoy.
I'm Levi, and I'm half Pinoy.
And
together, we're the 1.5 Pinoy cast.
Welcome to the season finale of the 1.5 Pinoy cast. Woo! What do you have to us this time, Levi?
Today's listener write-in is from the partner of an employee in a city's purchasing department. Our listener is not involved in today's drama, but they want some advice on how to help guide their partner. All the names used are fake names to preserve anonymity. Let's call the listener's partner Mary. So, in today's conflict, in Mary's office, buyers are responsible for purchasing and monitoring inventory for all the supplies needed by the city's police department. Corey had been a buyer for almost 14 years and knew his job duties well. He was promoted from buyer to department supervisor 3 years ago. Corey made his first hire 6 months ago and brought Mary onto the team as a buyer. Buyers are required to review the city's Material Requirements Planning (MRP) report at the beginning of each day and place orders for the items and supplies listed in the MRP report by the end of the day. As a supervisor, Corey reviews the MRP reports for all of his buyers every day. Several months after Mary was hired, on a Wednesday, Corey noticed that Mary's items had not been ordered. Since Corey is very familiar with the purchasing protocol and the appropriate suppliers for various items, he decided to place Mary's orders himself. At the end of the day, Corey informed Mary that he had placed the orders for her and that he was willing to help her in any way that he could to help her do the best job possible. On Friday of the same week, Mary got a call from one of her suppliers wanting to know if she had meant to make duplicate orders. The suppliers questioned if she really wanted twice the usual order amount since Corey had placed the same order earlier in the week. Mary was infuriated that Corey had placed the orders without informing her and decided to confront him about it. Corey apologized, saying,
If you remember, we discussed this on Wednesday, and I told you at the time that I was willing to help you in any way.
Mary thought that the problem had been resolved, but Corey continued to place orders for her, but always informed her that he had done so. On one occasion, Corey said,
I know you have been extremely busy, and I needed to reduce your workload.
Mary has not mentioned any of this to the other buyers due to fears of what they might think. She thought to herself,
We work well together as a team, but I am frustrated by what my supervisor is doing.
Mary debated how to tell Corey to let her do her job without causing any hard feelings. She came to believe that Corey doesn't have confidence in her abilities and is unwilling to tell her what she should do differently. Mary's 6-month performance appraisal is scheduled for next week. She is uncomfortable with her current situation and fears that her time in the department will soon end. She can't afford to lose her job and doesn't know if she should talk to the director of HR first or Corey's immediate boss. Should supervisors in Corey's situation do the work of their employees to help them, or should they reduce the employee's workload?
Supervisors can do the work of their employees, but only at the appropriate time or place. Hand-holding your employees hinders their growth and can often be seen as disrespectful to their abilities. Let your employees do their jobs, and as a supervisor, supervise. There can be circumstances where it's appropriate to step in, but for the most part, supervisors should focus on their own responsibility, which are fostering growth and offering guidance and training.
Right.
What do you think was going through Corey's mind through all of this? You think there was any malice or ill intent there?
Well, Corey mentioned that he noticed Mary was extremely busy and that he wanted to reduce her workload. Maybe he meant his actions to be seen as him lightening her workload instead of making her do unnecessary and duplicate work. Why do you think Corey's actions made Mary resent him?
See, Mary was rightfully angry for what was happening. Not only was her supervisor impeding her work, it's creating a hostile work environment for herself, because she's more concerned about resolving the issue instead of actually working.
Right.
And discussing it with her coworkers may just end up making the situation worse. While the supervisor clearly had good intentions, it just shows a lack of trust in her abilities.
I will say, I wonder if part of the blame should go to Mary. I mean, Corey's always told her whenever he's placed an order for her. Shouldn't she take note of that and then know that the job is done and she doesn't need to do it?
Oh, definitely. Mary has to take part of the blame here. But it begs the question, is Corey only doing this to Mary, or does he do this to everyone on his team? Could this be an issue of discrimination or anything serious? What do you think Mary should do in this situation?
Well, if I were in Mary's shoes, I think I would go to Corey first rather than HR or his supervisor. I mean, people aren't mind readers, and I don't think Corey knows how bothered Mary is by his actions since it doesn't seem like she's expressed her discomfort to him. If she's too uncomfortable to talk to Corey directly, maybe it would be best to keep the issue within the department and talk to Corey's supervisor first. As Corey's supervisor, part of his job is to also help mentor and guide Corey in his new role as a supervisor and help him develop the skills necessary to succeed in this new position for him. If Mary feels that Corey's actions are more of a target and discriminatory nature, then it'd probably be best to address that with HR. Based on the situation, do you think Corey is acting like an effective supervisor?
Personally, I think Corey isn't an effective supervisor right now. He's handling the situation as if he's still in the position he was in. Instead of doing the job for Mary, he could have communicated, for example, that deadline is nearing, please get those orders in by then. He isn't inspiring his team like this. Let your employees succeed and fail on their own merit. Praise their success, educate on why they fail, but never take over. Of course, there are extraordinary circumstances where he should take over, but everyday operations isn't one of them, especially if you weren't asked. Communication is key.
Right.
I believe or at least like to believe Corey is coming from a good place here. But he has to remember he's a supervisor now, and that comes with a whole different set of responsibilities. What do you think he should do to be a better supervisor?
I definitely think one of the things that Corey should address first is his ability to communicate his intentions. I mean, if his intention is to reduce Mary's workload as he stated, then he should have made that clear to Mary by discussing the exact ways he intended to make that happen and which duties he would assign to other buyers or take on himself. And I think he should also keep in mind that, because he's a supervisor now, he doesn't need to be doing these daily duties because that's not his role anymore, right? Mm-hmm. And, it doesn't help Mary that, she feels like her efforts are going into things that have already been done and she's being kind of overstepped in her role. I also think that Corey should develop the ability to lead his employees to the right answers and actions rather than going, oh, they messed up, I'll just do it instead. Or else this issue with Mary will be a continuous issue with any new employees under him. Nothing's going to change.
Exactly. For Corey, communicate. For Mary, listen. Like, what was the saying? Teach a man to fish.
Feed him for a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Or give a man a fish, feed him for a day,
Yeah.
Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime.
Exactly. And with that, special thanks to Professor Brown and the multimedia staff here at LSC Tomball. And for the last time, like Olympia, that's a wrap.